Today we're going to talk about some maintenance on the Zippy Ride 10-inch. The main thing that you'll probably need to do over time will be to adjust the rear brake. Rear brake's obviously one of the most important things, being a safety mechanism for the kids. It is good to know though that if the brake adjustment does start to get out, then pulling the brake lever on will still cut the bike out. It'll cut the motor and stop the motor from being able to move. So there is still a safety mechanism in place to stop the kids from being able to just career down the road without a brake. But at the same time, you need to make sure that the brakes are working and they're functional every time you let the kids ride the bikes. This bike that we've got today, I'm going to go through the different steps of the brake mechanism. In the previous video where we were putting the bike together, we talked about the rear brake adjustment and the minor adjustment that is up on the handlebars here. The minor adjustment allows for the brake to be adjusted just slightly over time so that as the brake components wear, you can keep up with that adjustment. Now, there'll become a time when the adjustment up here gets too much and you won't be able to adjust the brake any further, and the brake will probably be able to be pulled all the way into the handlebars like this one. That's effectively not using the brake at that point, and that's a safety issue. So we need to make sure that we adjust that up for the kids. What we're going to do there is we're going to do a major brake adjustment, which is done at the rear of the bike down here. Now, there's a few different things to have a look at when we're doing this adjustment. So we're going to go through each one of them step by step. We're going to be working around this brake area here and also at the top of the brake lever itself. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to adjust the free play of the brake lever all the way back to its standard position. So this bolt here, we're going to undo the lock nut, slide it all the way back, and do it up. Okay, now that's actually going to make the brake worse than it was before. So temporarily, that's what we're going to do. The second thing we're going to do is do the major brake adjustment down on the rear brake here. What we're going to need for that is an Allen key that comes in your toolkit, and you'll be able to use the Allen key to undo this nut at the back. Undoing that nut allows you to be able to take that breaker away, and you'll be able to pull that through from the handlebars. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to simply let the brake lever sit back in its position that it likes to be in, pull that cable tight, and then we're going to do that nut back up. What that does is it releases the pressure on the brake, allows that cable to come through, and then we can reset the adjustment on the rear of the bike. Once we've done that, we can then come back up to the handlebars, can have a feel to see how the brake is now. This one's pretty good, straight away. But if you do need a little bit of adjustment still, you can then use your minor adjustment up on the top here to take up that slack, whatever's needed. The last thing that we want to check as well is the actual alignment of the brake itself. At the back of the bike, you'll see that there's the adjustment nut that we've been dealing with the major brake adjustment. We've also got two nuts either side here. These nuts allow you to move the brake caliper on the disc. What that means is that when the disc moves through the brake, it needs to be aligned. It needs to have a bit of space in it so that it's not rubbing on the disc. If your brake is ever rubbing on the disc, then it can make the brake components wear out faster, but it can also drain the battery really fast as well because it's got drag on the system. So we want to make sure that there's a little gap between the disc on this outside edge and the inside of the pad. Now you have to get right up in there and have a look, but when you do so, you'll see like a slight little gap in there, and that's exactly what you're looking for. So there you have it. That's the brake adjustment for the Zippy Ride. It's not overly complicated. It just requires a few extra steps, but need to make sure that this is done at least every few rides to make sure that the kids are going to be safe and they're riding their bikes. Happy adventuring.